What's up, and welcome to Marriage Evolves, a place where you will be empowered to build a balanced marriage through practical and biblical tools. We are your coaches, Roshawn and
Big Rod.
all right now, Big Rod. And we have an amazing session set for you guys tonight. But we have a question for you first. Did you know that 65% of dating, engaged, and married couples are blended families
Wow,
today?
that's a pretty high percentage.
Is very
Yeah,
high
that
percentage.
is.
And what we consider the traditional marriage and family nowadays is really no longer the same anymore, even though we know that it still exists. But tonight, we are talking to people who are blended families.
I'm excited about that because we got some really special people that's going to be coming and sharing with us tonight. It's going to
Most
be an
definitely.
interesting session.
It really
Yeah.
is. Because we've come in to find out that people today are searching for a safe and healthy community where they can learn to grow and evolve in their marriage. So, this is why people, Marriage Evolves has become one of the greatest resources for couples today because we're teaching you and how to learn to come together as one and be that winning team that you guys are,
Yes,
right?
that's right. That's right. These Tuesday team talks have been a benefit to a lot of people. So we
Yes.
we really thank you for coming and joining us because we know there's always something good, that's something that's going to be deposited in your spirit,
Yes.
in your ear gates, that's going to help you to continue to grow and learn more about yourself as a husband, as a wife, and as a team,
Yep.
as you continue to foster greatness in your relationship.
Yes. So tonight in this session, we are going to provide you guys some tools, not just us, because we have two amazing couples that are going to be coming on. So what we want you to do is make sure you don't miss the whole thing. Get your papers, get your pens. We are going to get you ready for tonight. So let's lean in.
Lean.
And get ready to build your winning team.
That's
So
right.
why don't you go ahead and introduce the new couples?
Oh, I get to do that?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Well, family, tonight we are getting ready to hear from two dynamic families. They're both coming from a blended family situation. They have a lot of things they can share on how they were victorious. Some areas of where they may have had some other different dynamics as far as some challenges, some setbacks. They're coming with over 10 years of experience. This is the time period that we've also known them as well. So we are ready to share with you this wonderful couples that's going to come in tonight. We're so excited to introduce to you Team Greathouse and Team Cole.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Marriage Evolves channel.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for joining us this evening.
Thank y'all for having us.
Thank you.
I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful. So we're going to go ahead and get right into our session so we can be able to have time to cover this whole portion.
Right before you do that, just so that can help the people out, Team Greathouse, if you don't mind, how many years have you been married?
21 years this year.
21 years.
Yeah.
And Team Cole, how about yourself?
2.
All right. All right. Wonderful. Wonderful.
That's progress
Yes.
in this time.
Oh, absolutely.
Progression. My good 2 years and blended.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a lot.
But now, even for your situation, even though with 2 years and you're blended, you also have another additional dynamic in there. You also adopted.
That's
Right.
right.
We did.
Blended to adopted. So that's another piece in your puzzle that's
Yeah.
intricate. So we're going to go ahead and let y'all go ahead and jump in there with it. Go ahead and shot off those questions. I know you're ready to roll with it.
Oh,
She's been
yes, I
excited
am.
about this
Yes,
session
I
all
am.
day.
So we want Team Cole, if you could just share with Marriage Evolves family just a little bit about your story.
Absolutely, as we like to say. I think what's some interesting pieces about Josh and I's story is we grew up together. We grew up in the same church as kids. Many people considered us high school sweethearts. He was my first boyfriend. We kind of, had early foundations when we were young, but then we graduated and went into totally different paths and didn't reconnect until 14 years later. So Our reconnecting really looks like the trends in relationships these days, where people don't get married until they're older. We didn't get married until we were in our 30s. We lived young and free 20s, and then said, oh, let's get married. But when we reconnected, he was kind of getting into his like grown-up mindset, and I already had a kid. So it made it really interesting in our coming together when we decided that we believed we were the right people for each other. So with lots of coaching from you guys and excellent community, we came together, and another big piece is we dated remotely. So we lived in different states the entire time that we dated. We didn't live in the same place until after our wedding.
Yeah.
So that was very unique. So we built a relationship remotely, with our daughter Madison and him. That happened thousands of miles away with 3 visits and lots of FaceTime. So I think even though we built those foundations and did all the coaching and did all the prayer and did all the things, in 2020, when the pandemic hit, when we all got to Kansas, it kind of turned on. That was like, whoa. Now family 101. Yeah. So we're like, oh, you put the toilet paper that way? You don't like that? We're doing the like, we've lived our lives for 10 years our own way, and we're figuring it out. And then we have Madison in the middle saying, wait, what? Now it's just the 3 of us. You took me away from my family. Now I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I got this dude, So it was a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
I don't want to take away from the Great House, but I was about to add.
How about Team Great House? Tell us a little bit about your story and how you became the blended family you are today.
We were neighbors. We actually lived next door to each other. I was the ripe age of 19 when we got married. At the time, he was dating and, broke off, and then she became pregnant. And from there, we didn't become a blended family for a little bit. But we had our trials and errors, and, we dealt with the toilet paper, leaving the seat up. We dealt with all the ups and downs that marriages come from, and just learning how to communicate with each other, as well as being a blended family and how to deal with how to raise, our family as being blended.
Mm. I was just going to say, just hearing y'all bits of your story that you're sharing, and just thinking about ourselves. We just hit our 25 years last year, and yes, praise God.
Yes,
and for us, we got married in our early 20s, and we both we were ready-made families individually, and they came together and just made it another big family. Because John had Quentin, I had Ashley, and we just meshed it together, just almost like our own Brady Bunch situation going on.
But only 2, not
well. But in any case, we all in this day and time, like the stat was saying earlier, my wife was sharing, it is more common now to hear and see, blended families. At one point in time, there was only taboo, maybe in the military environment and stuff like that. But now it's like you hear more and more people, more and more individuals couples getting married, and they already having, children, or having adopted children, things like that. So this is a wonderful session to go forward in it. So go ahead and continue forward, baby. I don't want to take some more of your narration.
You need
time.
To quit. So anyway, let's get into the notes and cracks of blending a family. So we're going to start with the Great Houses. Why don't you share with us some of the challenges that you encountered? Girl, turn your head back this way. Turn it back. The challenges that you encountered with trying to blend a family.
Well, one was bringing her into our home, getting her used to our family, getting her used to her sisters that she never met before, getting her used to me. It was a real weird situation, bad situation, turned into a good situation. Blessed to have her. Getting her used to how we do things in our home versus what she does at her home when she's with her mom, her grandma, or her godmom. So those are the things that we kind of dealt with there. And most important, being able to get Brandy online with mom on the other side of the fence. So sometimes I had to step in and, be referee, and, sometimes had to tell
Hold on,
both
man.
of
We
them
need to put your referee shirt on.
had to tell both of them to go to their neutral corners. I mean, I'm on the phone with her and telling her to hush, and I got my wife here. I'm telling her to go back to your neutral corner. Let me handle this real quick. But everything worked out. Had to go on deployment, so sometimes they had to really deal with each other and make things work.
Now, you mentioned about, you had to be the referee, and you Brandy in one corner, she in another corner. Talk about that just a little bit, Brandy, because there are some real situations that we encounter. I don't care if you're in the church, out of the church, trying to get in the church, slide in the church, that people have, when it comes to the other individuals. Can you share a little bit of that?
Yes, I have a lot of experience in that. Just dealing with the different personalities, what is the word I'm looking for? Maybe regressed emotions or feelings that come up far as with him, because there was a couple times she had mentioned to her, it was my fault that they were together. They're the reason why. She's the reason why, me and your dad are not together. And, this could have been me. I could have had that life. And me at the time, I was still a little immature in my thinking, my first mindset. And I'm going to be real. I love the Lord with all my heart, but fight or flight. So that was my mindset, so I'm a fight, and, for my family, for my husband. But just learning, I had to come up with the conclusion at the end of the day, this is your situation. It's not my battle to fight. So whatever issues that you guys had together, that was your issues. I didn't want nothing to disturb our household or our marriage or come, bring a wedge or a separation between us, because we're fighting over something that has nothing to do with us.
Right.
So it was a lot of trial and error, and basically kind of demanding the respect from the other parent, calling the house, let me talk to. No, hello, I will hang up. You're going to address me first. I don't care if you say, hey, how you doing? Let me speak to. But I would definitely hang up, because at the end of the day, this is my house. You're calling for my husband. So if I give you the respect, I want that same respect back. So it is, kind of letting him be like, hey, this is your battle to fight. You need to know, basically, you need to let them know where we stand, and where I stand is that, I'm not going anywhere. And whatever you got going on, you got to handle that.
Now that is really good, because we've had some of those same similar situations, and we've had to learn how to communicate with right here,
Yes.
and then also establish those boundaries with the outside sources. Because if we didn't establish the boundaries with this team right here, the outside sources could come in and try to penetrate what's going on here. So
and it's
that
easy to do.
exactly.
Yeah.
So this is where the adults had to be mature enough to handle the other adult and not do it in a way that it's going to trigger the children in any kind of way.
And that was something that one of our mentors told us many, many years ago, was always show a united front.
Always.
Even if we still had some issues or some undertow or some disagreements about how we were managing the blended situation, we had to show a united front in front of the kids. We had to show a united front in front of the other parent or parents.
Yes.
So that way, the border, what's the word I'm looking for? Not the border, it's the boundary. The boundaries was established. The boundary lines were established. Yes. Thank you for helping me out there.
Teammate. All right. But yes, the Coles, your situation is a little bit unique in itself, because you adopted the child.
Right.
Which we didn't have the opportunity to do. So can you elaborate a little bit on you being a single individual coming into already made family? So you already got a daughter. And
Right.
how was that maneuvering for you?
I think for me it was overwhelming, to be honest, because everybody can say like, "Hey, you're gonna be a husband and a father," and you can chant it too, like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be a husband and a father." And then when you're placed with it, it's just everything. It just hits you all at once. You're like, "Oh my God, everything I say and do is scrutinized. Everything
Yeah.
I participate in." And I think the biggest thing for me was, and I prayed and asked God, like, God, how do I maintain relentless pursuit of her, even though she doesn't really know me yet, or she doesn't understand what love is from a male figure in her life as a father? How do I maintain that relentless pursuit? And that was one of the things that I had to overcome, and still to this day.
Yeah, and I think too, the most powerful thing for me to witness him doing was to keep trying. Like sometimes it didn't work. Sometimes it was great. And he'd just pick himself back up and pursue her over and over and over again. And with the adopting, before we had gotten married, really, Joshua made the decision that he wanted to adopt her. So because we had talked about it in our coming together, in our first year of marriage, we made the decision to do it. And some people might not do it that right away, but there were a few pieces like, I know I'm not alone where there are some mothers where the other parent decided not to be a part early on. In Madison's case, her biological father, he was out really early. So I walked the road as a mother alone the entire time, and I didn't expect that he'd come back, So with that, I was like, well, I'm just going to purpose in my heart that I'm going to marry Madison's father. And if I'm going to marry Madison's father, we're going to do whatever he believes is the right thing to do as our coming together. And for him, he was sure he wanted to adopt. So the challenge that brought was in our first year of marriage, we had to go find her biological father and locate him, contact him, convince him to sign away rights, go through
How
the court.
was that?
So the funny thing is, she was messaging him. She's like, "Do you mind if I message him to get the stuff?" I didn't think about it. I was like, "Yeah, find him, do that." But then I was like, "Wait a minute, you messaging another man? Hold on now. Wait, what's going on?" You married
Come on, keep it real up in here.
All right.
I was like, "So what are you messaging? What are you messaging him?" Well, we gotta find him. I was like, "Well, if he's not answering just your regular messages," I'm thinking like a man, like he probably want to give you another response, or maybe he's expecting you to say something else like, "Did you make your decision to come back to me?" or anything like that. So I was like, well, let's monitor how we contact him, and then I'll be okay with that. But yeah, it was definitely.
So we made an open book policy. We did it together. If we talked this, like, here's where we're at. Here's what we're doing. Here's what he said. Here's, and we wanted to show the love of God in the way that we did it. So I mean, we Ubered him to a notary, bought him lunch, had someone take care of the paperwork because we did it remotely. We were thousands of miles apart. We took all the work out of it. We showed him compassion. We wanted to not be fighting about it, but to say, hey, we want to empower you to make the best decision for her, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's weird for us. We want to be able to make that seamless for her. So that was honestly the grace of God. Yeah. But the fact that we could do that in our first year remotely together, find him, track him down. He tried to bail out the day of, like all the things, to fight through. And it was a huge victory in 2020 for us. Like, wow, everybody got the same name in the same house. And for her, us being in a place where we didn't have our extended family, we thought that would be important.
That's a blessing. That's a real blessing. I want to recap real quick on something that you said earlier, and that was the relentless pursuit of the child. And I know in this dynamic for all of us here, that's something that, just recently we went to a marriage retreat, and they were talked about blended families. Yeah. And one of the speakers, he was talking. They were sharing this husband and wife team was sharing their situation, and the husband shared how he gave space to the children, to his wife, his new wife's children. He gave space to the children to come to him at their time, to call him dad, or to get that relation. He made himself available for them, since day one.
Mhm.
But he gave them that space and that time, even though he was relentlessly pursuing them through the actions of love and showing them the support and everything else like that. He still gave them that space and time, because sometimes in our dynamic culture,
Every child's not ready
we
at
try
the
to
same
force
time.
things
Yeah.
instead of allowing that child to have that space and that opportunity to open up and accept the
Mhm.
situation. Because that's a lot for a child to take in, especially like in our situation. It was early in our marriages. The
Yep.
children were young, and so for them to have to deal with their biological home situation, then coming in the step family home situation, it's a lot for them to have to make a decision. And sometimes they want to, but yet they might be getting pressured not to, And so that relentless pursuit, giving time, and the last portion I would like to add in there is continuously showing the love.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Always, no matter what. Even
Yeah.
though you may think they don't deserve it, even though you may think the situation, whatever, let go of your
Wait.
ego.
You talking about the kids or the other parent continually
talking
show
about
the
talking
love?
about in this situation right now, we're talking about with
Oh,
the
okay.
kids. We're talking
Okay.
about with the kids.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
But now we all saved on here. We all children of God. You gotta show
Show the
godly
love.
love even to that other biological parent too.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I know,
Yes.
and some of us might not be right there, but we got to pray and
We
ask
have
God.
to do it.
Yeah. But I'm talking about right now with the kids.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
showing that love toward that child, allowing that child to know that this is home for you as well. Be loved. You are loved here.
Now, what I do want each one of you all to tap into, because you might deal with this individually, is how the children, if we're not careful as adults, how the children will try to play the parents between one another. Who wants to hit on that?
Ooh, I think the Great House one hit that the way
Come on, Mr. G.
Brandon did
All
this.
right. So my daughter, she really had initially, magnet directly to my wife. I was the one that was pursuing my own daughter. It was almost like, hey, look, I'm your dad. I'm gonna be here for you. I'm not just gonna show up when you're in trouble. I want to be here all the time. I want to come in and visit you when you're not in trouble. So it'd be times that she asked me for something. I tell her, no, we're not going to do this, or you're not going to do that, and she'll hang up the phone with me and immediately call my wife and saying, you need to talk to dad. Why dad ain't doing this? She'll say, well, your father made a decision, and then whatever his decision he came up with, that's what we're going to do. So we always had to show a united front, even though that wasn't, what we thought we was doing. But sometimes she'll call me back and she'll be upset and tell me, I got the phone with mom, and she said, we gotta do it the way that you said. And there'll be times that that Randall come to me and say, well, maybe, maybe we need to think about this a little bit differently,
Yeah.
Main thing was that we start getting into our teens and, all the Snapchats and
Oh,
the
yes.
Twittering and that turned into a quick, I need to leave work to my boss. I'll be back tomorrow.
Yes.
It was a lot of, especially when it came to discipline, because again,
Yes.
as the bonus parent, you don't want to overstep your boundaries when it comes to discipline. So we go back and forth because he's a softie.
Always been.
That is girls. That is girls.
He'll be like, oh, cut her phone off, and in the next moment, oh, cut it back on. And I'm like, what did she do to display this prize, or what did she do to display that we need to give her, back her privileges? Because again, it's a privilege. It's so we kind of bump heads when it came to the discipline and the manipulation. Well, dad, so it was a lot, and like we said, they're teens, so.
You were getting ready to say the word manipulation, because that's what some of the children do, is manipulate the situation.
They will
Have you guys
manipulate.
Have you guys experienced that, Team Cole, even though she's young?
Oh yeah. But I may not know what manipulation is, and Brittany always gives. She's like, she doesn't know that. I was like, but her actions, we know what that is.
Yes,
we know.
Look, biological kids know how to work that thing. What make you think?
Stepchildren.
Yes, indeed.
You know, the
Mhm.
Bible say ain't nothing to do under the sun, so they be thinking they reinventing something,
Yeah,
and they really didn't.
they really didn't.
Y'all may
Exactly.
change how it worked, but it still is the same thing.
Call it something
Exactly.
different.
hmm Now there's
Right.
also another portion of blending a family that we have to tap into as well is the emotions of the children,
Yes.
because whatever the children feel and see in these other environments, they unintentionally bring that over into their new environment because they're not used to it. And so, with that being said, it's like a toil that they go through from one place to the next because nothing is stable and it's different. So, how did you guys maneuver through those obstacles of making her feel comfortable when she came, but yet still disciplining her?
For us, because she lived in a whole nother state, and we would get her probably during the summertime and a few holidays. When she came, the first couple of days is kind of like reprogramming.
Yes.
hmm
What you did over there is not going to work here. So when you're here, we have a bedtime, we have a curfew. There's certain things that we don't do or say. It's and I try to, even when she came, I try to make her feel welcome. One thing about me, I never wanted you to feel like you wasn't welcome. I
Correct.
never made her feel that she wasn't part of the family. So when she came, I automatically knew I'm going to get her favorite snacks. I'm going to get, her favorite. I made her feel like when she was here, she was home.
Yeah.
So it just like with anything, it takes a couple of days to reprogram a kid when they're coming from two separate households, because what you did at one household, you have to be like, oh, now I'm going to go with my dad and my stepmom. So I got to remember, oh, they don't allow us to watch TV past 10, and I got to be in the bed by this time, and I
Mhm.
have to do this. So it's like reprogram. So I give you like a little leeway. I give you 2 days. Then after that,
Good
rules
Lord.
and regulations.
2 days.
So, you know,
The main thing what I already came up with initially was to make sure she had her own space.
Yes.
Yes.
Regardless when she was in the house or not in the house, she had her own room. Everything was there. Was
Mhm.
nothing ever out of sorts when she came. So it was her stuff in her room. So she left clothes when she came back for the holiday. It'll be there. There'd be times I get off work and I would drive over to Mississippi and hang out and watch games and
Ooh.
do different things of that nature. And sometimes I had to leave at halftime. Sometimes I stayed the whole game. But trying to go out the way to make sure she felt comfortable
Mhm.
and welcome
Yeah.
all the time.
mm-hmm.
Now, Coles, of course, y'all are different because she was younger in the same household. Did you have to deal with, as of now, any emotional portions because she might ask? Because you have a very smart young lady
Very
there,
intuitive.
very intuitive. And, did she ever ask the question, where is my other daddy type of thing? Have y'all went through that transition a little bit yet?
Well, I think the biggest toy we've seen the most is just going from like you get all of mommy's attention to now I live in a family where attention is shared. So
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes, especially in the beginning, and it still flows up now, there's competition. So she'll
Yeah.
say, Mommy, can I do that? I'm like, absolutely. And we'll do that. And then Josh will say, Babe, can we do that? And she'll be like, no, you don't get mommy. I get mommy because mommy is mine. So
Oh, boy.
there's that push and pull, right? Like, oh wait, she used to be all mine. Now she is yours and mine. And I don't know if I'm still a fan of that. And it
Yes.
creates those boundaries where I have to say, well, hey, you have to respect your father. There's time you're
Mhm.
not part of it. And then there's time when we're both gonna love on you. There's time she's gonna love on you by himself. So I think that was a big emotional thing, was feeling like um that sharing is okay.
Mhm.
That's a part of how family works.
And the biggest thing we did, we started this thing called double kiss. So we both would kiss her at the same time on each cheek, or we'd do a group hug or anything. So now
Yeah.
feeling like, okay, I need both of you guys right now. She'll ask, double kiss, and we'll come together and do that.
That's right. And even she asks interesting questions because she knows from Josh. He took her to dinner. He shared his love story with her about how they became a family, just the two of them. But she'll kind of ask like, so you said people get married and then they have babies and they become a family, but that wasn't, I was already here and then you guys got married and then so she's like, the timeline is different. What does that mean for me? Because our story is not the story you tell me everybody else's story is.
And
So,
how old is Madison again?
she's 4. She turns
4 years
5
old
in a couple months. So it's interesting to have that conversation with a 4-year-old. Like, our family structure is a little different than what I explained. It's not like your cousins. It's not like other people. It's a little different, but it's special because the point is we loved you. Yeah. And we wanted to be a family. We loved each other, and that made us all a family of love. But we've had to explain it.
I just want to highlight 2 things that my brothers have just said. That Brittany said it for Josh. He took time out and gave her that one-on-one time. Took out for dinner, things like that. Established that one-on-one.
Yeah,
it made her Madison know that she was important. Established that level of importance. And then Joe, you talked about you made sure that your daughter understood and knew that she had her own space every time she came to your home, to make sure that she felt comfortable, make sure she felt at home at your home and not just at her mom's home, giving her that opportunity to say, hey, this is what you have there, but this is also what you have here. You got 2 homes, you got 2 sets of parents, and I like that the men taking that role and establishing as fathers the groundwork in the children.
Especially because you're dealing with little girls.
Yeah.
Little girls, they gain their identity and who they are from their fathers. And they're seeing how their fathers are treating them and what they should look for when they get older.
Boys too.
Boys do
grab their identity from their dads
exactly,
as well.
because, I always tell Quentin, I have to interview her first. Okay.
Y'all keep praying on this one. That's a different topic for another time.
We'll have But listen, we are almost down to our end portion of this session. This has been very good.
Yes.
We have many people that are going to be watching this broadcast later. So I want to ask each of you to give me 2 quick minutes as to some advice on what you would give the adults in the situation. One, do
the parents. Because they might have adult children in the situation.
Exactly. A good advice of what to do and what not to do in blending a family. Go ahead, Coles.
Do is, we said it all night, united front. Like, you want to make sure that you have a united front because you don't want to show partiality to anybody. And I think with Madison, she looks and she's like, wait a minute, yeah, you guys are now on the same side. I'm going for my mom. So being united, it helps.
Yes.
And if you're a single mother coming into a blended family, trusting your mate, because if you're good enough to be my husband, you're good enough to be your father. If not, I shouldn't have married you. So if I can't trust you to be her father, like, then what are we doing? So I really have to trust. And oftentimes I'm the person ruining the united front, right? I'm like, no, my baby, no. But I have to trust him. I said, you were good enough. God called you to this. I have to trust that you can be her father so we can show up as a unit, not as two individual players. I think that is huge.
Communication is the main key. That means communicating boundaries, expectations, and also just prayers, because it takes a lot of prayer to make it through a blended family, especially when you got to deal with whatever's going on in the other household and how it spills over to your house as well. So make sure you have that good communication in your home and outside your home.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I guess I'll go with the don't. Don't make the kids feel like they're not wanted, or don't make them feel like this is their parent and you're just there. My mom will always say, when you're dating or in a relationship with a person with a child, that's a package deal. They come together. So make the child feel loved, make them feel wanted. People so close, well, you're not my child, so I ain't got to do nothing for you. Don't do that. You know, the
Right.
child didn't ask to be in a relationship. So when you took on the responsibility of being with their parent, you took on that responsibility of being with them.
Yes.
You know what? You took the words right out of my mouth, because I was going to close out with something of that nature, but no need for me to go there. But we thank both of you guys
Yes, we
so
do.
much. There's so many other dynamics to blending a family that we can talk about and discuss, but of course we don't have enough time. But we are so grateful that you tuned in. If you are new to Marriage Evolves community, make sure you consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. Hit that cowbell for notifications. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And as always, don't forget to comment, like, and share. And we're going to say good night to you, but we thank our couples. Give them a hand clap.
Yes. And please let us know, family, if y'all enjoyed this topic, you want to hear more, you have any other
Yes.
questions, please put it in our chat, put it in our comments so that we can feedback some more stuff to you, and maybe bring this panel back and some more panels back.
Yes.
That we can talk some more about being blended.
And also, too, if you have questions that some people weren't able to put in the chat tonight, but you want questions and some answers to your questions, make sure you just hit us on our email. And trust me, we will get back to you in regards to your questions and your answers. But on that note, as always, Team Broussard, Coach Roshawn, Coach Roderick, well, the other way around.
Yeah.
We are
Two hearts,
one team with one purpose. Good night.